Welcome to Evolution on the Mic. I am your host, Ariana de la Cruz.
And I'm your co-host, Antoine Dove.
And we are back, season 7, Faith in Yourself, episode 2, Healing the Parts of You That Forgot You Are Worthy. In our last episode, y'all, we introduced the theme for this season, having faith in yourself. We helped guide you to realize that everything that you need to take the next step for your life is already within you. It's simply a matter of learning to trust yourself by tuning in and moving forward in faith. So anybody that missed that episode, I highly recommend that you go back and watch it because it really set the foundation of everything that we're going to be talking about with having faith in yourself. Definitely check it out. But today on this episode, we're going to be diving into something deeply personal, what it truly means to have faith in yourself, especially when parts of you have forgotten your worth. Whether it was rejection, failure, abandonment, moments of comparison, those moments can affect our self-belief without us even realizing it. And over time, we forget the truth that we were created with purpose, value, and divine worth from the very, very beginning. But before we get into all that, because I know, I'm excited to I just want to jump into it. Antoine, I want to check in with you. How you been? How's your week been going?
Fantastic. Yeah, the week's been great. I'm excited about this episode. You already got me on the edge of my seat. I'm ready to go. No, this it's been great. I mean, we just wrapped up, Resurrection Sunday, and I had a chance to go to church and really hear a great word from my mom's pastor about Jesus's resurrection and past and future. And it really brought a lot of things to light for me. It's really had me thinking over this last couple days or so about what Jesus' resurrection really means to us as Christians, as believers, and what it means to our future in the direction we're going. We spent a lot of time in our past, which we'll talk about right in today's episode, but that past doesn't define us. That past was a moment in time to help either propel us forward, depending on how you receive it, or take us back. And so I've been actually spending a lot of time of just reevaluating the things that are going on in my personal life, things that I'm experiencing, personally, and the things that God's continuing to show me, and being open to new ways of thinking about just my walk with God. So overall, life's been good. No complaints. Just grateful to continue to have the opportunity to learn and grow here, in this space with us together through this podcast. I love these times. Sorry, you already know. I love coming back with you and talking through these topics because I feel like I learned so much even about my own personal self as we dive deep into this. But what about you? How's things been? Last time we talked, I know you was just getting adjusted to Costa Rica, and
I know,
things still
yes.
new. How are things now? How are you feeling?
Yes, I mean, how am I feeling? I must say that this is a work in progress for me, right? It's been a little over a month since I've been here. I'm excited that I finally found like my home church. So I found this amazing church is literally like 2 minutes away from me. And it's beautiful. I feel like I have not missed a Sunday for the last 4 weeks. And I went yesterday as well. Because we're filming this on a Monday. And I just always feel so good when I'm going consistently. And I feel like it's really showing me, right? Because I've been saying that God put me here in Costa Rica for a reason. And I'm just realizing more and more that God really brought me here to bring me closer to Him. Because when I was in Florida, I was going to church, but not consistently, right? Sometimes months will pass where I wouldn't go because I don't always believe that you have to be in church to be connected to God. That was like, my belief. So I would go and sometimes I wouldn't go. But here, since week 2, I have not missed a Sunday. And yesterday when I was in there, I'm like, God, my frustrations with being here, I still don't get it, right? In my physical eyes, I'm lost, I'm frustrated, with just the differences of being in another country. It's very different from just vacationing, right? Some places you can go on vacation and it's awesome and you have a great time. But to live here on a day-to-day, it's a different adaptation that you have to go through, and that's where I'm at. But I felt like God whispered to me and tell me, but look at you here, you have not missed a Sunday, and look how you feel after the service where I take care of my errands, I go food shopping, I meal prep my meals, and I just have all this vitality and all this energy, that carries me through not only the rest of my Sunday, but takes me through the rest of my week. you know?
Yeah.
And that is something for me to be grateful for me to ponder on, for me to realize that this is one of the reasons why God put me here, because I don't really have distractions. It's just me. My best friend isn't around, the people that I could hang out with here. It's like, I don't feel like it has to be every weekend. So God already told me that, like, you can make friends, but I need you to focus more on me and lock in completely. And he's doing that. And he's doing it in a way where, every Saturday night, I'm like, should I go to church tomorrow? Oh, but I want to sleep in, blah, 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 blah. But then Sunday comes and I wake up just in time, because remember, church is 2 minutes away. So, but I wake up just in time where I can take a quick shower, throw on some clothes, and go to church. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way that I'm gonna miss it, and that makes me feel good. You know what I mean? So overall, like in my spiritual being, I just feel so good and blessed and favored with God, and he's giving me the strength to go on. But still, in my physical being, I'm not gonna lie to anybody or to myself that I'm 100%, because I'm not. And I think that's okay. A month in, moving to a whole nother country, I think that I'm doing good. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm proud of myself, because you have no idea how many times I just want to like book a flight and go to New York and stay there for a month, which I was contemplating this past weekend. I actually started looking for apartments to go to New York for a month, and not to leave Costa Rica at all, but just to go and be with my family. And like, I spoke with my best friend, and like, I felt God telling me, like, stop running away because your physical being is uncomfortable. My physical being needs to be put in an uncomfortable position because of what God wants to get me through, what he wants me to heal from, what he wants me to build within myself, the resilience that he wants me to build, and the partnership that God really wants me to lock in with him like I've never had in my life. So, yeah, my mind started like running this weekend too. And I'm just like, no, girl, we're going to center ourselves. We're going to do what God is asking us to do. And we're going to get through this, because it is uncomfortable. But never in my life have I been uncomfortable without my breakthrough and without me realizing, looking back, that God did all of that for a reason. And all the reasons were in my benefit, right? It was for my better good, for my future, and for everything that God has set for me. So I don't know if that answers the question,
It does.
Feeling great overall, but I'm still having my struggles, and I'm never going to create a story and mislead anybody, because I have no shame in it. Right. I think God wants me to go through this and to express this so other people can see themselves in this situation through their own day-to-day decisions and their breakthroughs and what they're going through. So, I am honored to be a vessel at this point of everything that I'm going through, because I know I'm going to get through it, and it's all going to magnify and glorify, God's will in my life for others.
Amen. Amen. Oh man, I love it.
So I know, like, I said a lot about healing, and, I love that this episode, we've called it Healing the Parts of You That Forgot Your Worth, because I feel like in our life, we want so many things for ourselves, and we have the faith in God, and we're like, God, I know that you could do it, I know that you can do it. And then we're starting to understand, like we did on the last episode, started to understand that having faith in ourselves correlates a lot with faith in God, and how they're both equally important, right? But then we're like stuck. Well, Ari, I get it. I know that I gotta have faith in myself. I heard you in the last episode, but I just don't know how to completely commit to that, because there's past stories in my past that have blocked me from completely moving forward and taking the action steps that I know God wants from me. How do I start healing those parts of me that feels unworthy? And that's what we're going to go deep into today. But before we go there, I want to start with an affirmation that I feel it's fitting to start the tone of what we're going to be talking about. And this affirmation clearly just says, you are worthy, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are and God created you to be. You are worthy, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are and what God created you to be. God created you to be something. And we tend to put the things that we've done, the things that has happened in our past, and tell ourselves, well, we're not worthy because of those things, right? And God is telling us, no, it doesn't matter what has happened in your past, what people have said to you, the things that you have experienced. It's about who God created you to be and what God has said about you and what he wants from you. But it's hard to get through that. So I want to go into something that really had hit home for me when we were like creating this show. And, I want to really pinpoint certain vulnerabilities of my own past traumas and the things that have held me back and the things that have made me feel unworthy in my past. And, I must say for me, it goes back to my childhood, right? When I was 9 months old, my mom and my dad separated. My mom left my dad. I grew up without my dad, but I always loved my dad. Always loved him. I always wanted him around whenever my mom, whenever there was like holidays, for Christmas or anything like that, whenever there was breaks from school, summer break, we would always go to my dad. And I remember always like really loving him. And I know I said this before in other episodes, but I remember always wanting him around, and like I loved him so much, and I would seek his attention and wanting his love and wanting his physical, attention. And I started to realize, because my mom and my dad separated when I was young, I carried on those feelings of maybe I was unlovable, right? Maybe like I was an unlovable baby that created the friction between them. I'm the reason that they're not together anymore. I'm the cause of the separation. I'm not worthy enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't, worthy enough for them to stay together and work it out and figure it out. They left because of me. Now, are those things true? No. But when you're growing up and you don't see your dad and you find out, oh, they separated when you were 9 months old, when you're growing up, you kind of start telling yourself these things. Oh, that was probably because of me. Maybe if I wasn't born, they would have still been together. They probably would have worked that out. I was probably an added stressor in their lives. And that started to affect me. And then those thoughts, were watered, right? They were validated when I was in the 6th grade, and my 6th grade teacher told my mom in front of me that I wasn't gonna ever like graduate like out of junior high school and high school. Like she didn't see a future for me, that I wouldn't be successful, and that I wouldn't amount to anything. That started to formulate my reality. I started to believe and hold on to those things, that I'm not worthy, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not lovable enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not going to amount to anything. All those stories in my head, because of my past traumas, started to formulate my actions and the reality that I was portraying in my life at that time, which in turn caused me to even drop out of high school. So was my 6th grade teacher right, that I wouldn't amount to anything? I dropped out of high school. I wouldn't say that she was right. I think that all those things that she said, I believed were true. And because of those beliefs, my actions in myself caused my lack of worth, my lack of belief, my lack of confidence to push forward and pass my math stats that I had, my math exams that I had to take, that I kept failing. I probably would have kept trying if I had more positive reinforcements in my life, but I didn't, right? So those carried into certain realities of me dropping out of high school. But things shifted for me once I started to grow in my relationship with God. Once I started really connecting with God, and those feelings of loneliness, those feelings of abandonment, those feelings of rejection, those feelings of unworthiness, God started to heal in my heart after I dropped out of high school. Like immediately after I dropped out of high school, God told me that there is a bigger future for me, right? He gave me this vision of Mentor's Way. Mentor's Way is my why. Mentor's Way is my reason. Mentor's Way is my nonprofit organization that I want to water and be an inspiration to other youth and adults all around the world, to show them that with God, anything is possible, to help them shift their belief system. He told me this when I was 18 years old, when I dropped out of high school. God came to me. God rescued me. God showed me his love, his heart, his mercy, his grace for everything that I have done up until that point. And I had this big, eager desire to want to chase after God. And since he gave me that vision, I was like, I'm going to do everything in my power to make that happen, right? That started getting me into into a GED program and getting my associate's degree, my bachelor's degree. And I couldn't say that I've gotten all of that without really connecting with God and him telling me who I am and that he loves me, and all those parts of me that were broken, like those things don't identify me. My identity comes through him and his love and his grace and his mercy in my life. And that was just the start of it for me. That was a really eye-opening experience for me, realizing, you know, who God is and that my past traumas don't identify me. I don't know, Antoine, does this resonate with anything in your
Yeah,
life?
yeah, it does. All right. And things one, just thank you for being vulnerable. I know you always are vulnerable on this podcast, but like I think to share parts of your life, especially something as touching as, you being a child and being raised by in a household in which your parents split and what that meant to you. I think there's a lot of people who can relate to that. And I had a similar experience in my own life when my dad passed away when I was 5, and I carried this sense of resentment that along with myself for an entire almost I'd say majority of my life. It wasn't until within like the last 5-10 years that I was able to forgive my dad and retrain my mind to think differently about what that experience that I went through meant for me and meant for my future. And so I think, one of the things you brought up that's really resonating with me is that, if you don't know who you are, like if you don't know that you are a child of God or whatever your identity you associate with, if you don't know what that is, then all you have to go off of experiences. And those experiences that we go through influence the beliefs, and then the beliefs create the beliefs have an impact on creating the actions we take. And for me, that's been my experience, and which is why like I lean in more when I start to doubt myself or I feel like things aren't going the right way. I lean in more to like, well, who am I? And I think that when you were telling you about your experience, that part of was seeking God even more, and God was reminding me about who I am. And through Him reminding me who I am, it allowed me to overcome those barriers and overcome those belief systems. Because now I had something to lean back on. I had something to go back and say, you know what, this
Yeah.
isn't true because that's not who God created me to be, because He's told
Yeah.
me this. And so, yeah, I think I can certainly see my own personal experiences in my life of aligning with kind of the same experience that you've had, which is people have told me stuff, I've believed it because I didn't really know who I was.
Yeah, no, and at that time in my life, because I felt so alone, right? I
Mhm.
felt so unworthy. I felt like I wasn't smart. I wasn't capable.
Mm.
I wasn't lovable. I had all those feelings when God presented himself to me, like when I dropped out of high school and I was really like contemplating on my life, like what did I just do? It the love that I felt in my heart and the way he spoke to me and the way like he made me feel like my whole life and everything that I've been to had a major purpose, and
Mm.
that my purpose was to showcase God's love and God's mercy and to honor him through my story. You know what I mean? Like turn everything that like I went through into gold for him. It was a feeling that I can go back to right now in my mind and in spirit, and it makes me feel in awe with
Mm.
that power that he put in my heart. And no one could have told me that it was fake, because it literally shifted the trajectory of my life. That feeling, that voice, that embrace in that moment when I dropped out of high school and I felt so alone and I felt more like crap, right? Because that was something that was the ultimate um that was the ultimate negative thing that I could have done in that time. I was affirming to everybody else that said I wouldn't amount to nothing, that I wouldn't make it, that I was going to be a loser, that I was going to be a bum, that I wasn't smart enough. I was basically affirming everybody when I dropped out.
Mm.
And I felt the weight of that. Like, this is true. You see, look at you now. Everything that they said about you is true. You're never gonna make it in life. You're not gonna amount to nothing. So to feel God's love and God's presence in the moment of your most weakest place, the most lowest point in your life, was a feeling that no one could tell me wasn't God.
Mm.
Was something that I knew that the rest of my life, I am going to strive to make Mentor's Way happen. I'm going to strive to amount to something. I am going to strive to be an inspiration for others. I'm going to strive to become the best version of myself so other people can see God in my situations, so they can see God in their situations, that God
Mm.
can get them through it, that God can push them through it. And I want this for everyone, because it's a feeling that you do need community, but in life, the first entity that you need is God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have him, you have everything, right? People are going to come and go. God is a constant source in our lives, even after death, right? Because we just go back to the source. And it's a union that's never ending. It's a union that's non-judgmental. It's a union that's just encouraging, supporting, loving, sometimes tough love because we want what we want. And God is like, no, stop. I'm having you on this path for a reason. Can you just keep following me? But at the end of it all, it's all for the greater good for your life and the greater good for other people that are going to be impacted by your walk, right? And, I'm 38 years old now. I dropped out of high school when I was 18, 19. I was 19. It's 20 years later. And I am so grateful that I decided to take the path of God, even though there's been moments where I have gotten off the path. But I'm so grateful to God that he has showed me mercy, that he has shown me grace, that he has loved me and embraced me through it all. But I'll never forget that first moment when God embraced me and told me who I was and who I'm going to be, and that everything that has happened is okay because it's all going to be for a greater good and for, his glory and for a purpose for other people to be inspired. And here I am today with the podcast and doing these things, one thing at a time, one step at a time, which makes me think about what are the causes, right? What causes us to feel unworthy, right? Like, where does this feeling of unworthy stems from, right? We can go back to our childhood wounds, right? The trauma that comes with our childhood, the things that we've experienced, the things that we've seen, the things that were said to us, the environments that we were in that maybe weren't conducive to you as a kid. All those elements affect our worthiness, right? Which affects how we see ourselves in our present adulthood. Feelings of rejection, of abandonment, like my situation, like I was saying, I felt like my dad abandoned me. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I didn't feel loved. Like, how could he not love this little precious baby? How could he let my mom leave? Why did he have to be a cheater? Why did he have to hit my mom? Why did he have to be such an a-hole? Why did he have to be so cold when this precious little baby is here, full of love and joy and wonder? How could he do this? That left me feeling like there's something wrong with me. And it helped me. And that, started to trigger my adult self into having toxic relationships, pushing people away. I'm going to leave you before you leave me. I'm going to shut you down before you shut me down. I'm going to reject you before you reject me, right? So what happens with that? You lead a life of isolation. You lead a life of, being alone because your loved one at a young age didn't give you that. So now it's like, if they didn't give me that and I am their seed, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. If my dad didn't give me that, why would anybody else give me that? Why would someone else come into my life, a relationship, a partner? They're going to leave me too because I'm not worthy enough. Like, these are things really subconscious that we don't see them playing. We don't see how the realities of these things playing out in our lives, where they stem from. But when we go back, anybody that's watching right now, if you go back to your childhood and some traumas that you went through and the things that were said, the things that you've seen, the things that you experienced, the environments that you were in, whatever that is for you, and you see your life today and how that looks and the things that are playing out, you can totally see a lot of correlation to what you believed about yourself because of what happened to you then, and what you're believing about yourself that's causing you to live the life that you have now, and the people that are in your circle now, the people you choose to keep in your circle, the experiences that you keep to experience, the things that you continue to experience that you're not letting go of. You can't because you're stuck in the past. You're stuck in that story. You're stuck in that movie of what happened, and you're just reliving them. You're reliving them now. You're reliving them now. It's like a movie that doesn't get played out, but God is like, this is played out already. Those things are not true. Those were moments in time of your life. but that doesn't equate to your whole life, right? We need to stop them in the track. We need to go back and realize those things happen, forgive those that have hurt us, forgive those situations, forgive those experiences, and know that we are a child of God, that we are loved, right? That we are perfectly made, that we were wonderfully and perfectly made in his image, that everything God is, I am. I am a higher of God. You know, God gave me all his gifts, all his blessings, all his glory, all his everything that he is, all his glory and his magnitude. I am. So why can't I believe that for me now? It's hard. Trust me. It's hard for me too. But it's constantly reminding, is this what's happening to me today really real? Or is it just a trigger from my past that's making me believe that it's real, having me react and be this certain way today? It's not. And the only way to go around that is by allowing ourselves to be fueled with God's love, that we can go back to those traumas and we can heal from them. Because a lot of the times, because even me, when I went through therapy, it was hard for me to sit there in therapy and go back to my childhood self and relive those moments when I was chasing my dad and my dad being so cold, right? When is that coming from work? When is that coming from work? Always checking in his room. Is he there? Like me chasing and coming up empty. My dad not there, my dad being cold, like leave me alone, like go away already. And those feelings of rejection. I didn't want to go back to those moments in time. Who does? It's scary. It hurts. It's painful. You cry. You're reliving it. You're going back to that infant or that childhood or that adolescent body and reliving those feelings. But the only way out of that and to get through that is to relive those moments and pick back those pieces of yourself that person took away from you. So that you took away from me, that I'm loving, that I'm lovable, that I'm amazing, that I'm beautiful, that I'm worthy of physical touch and words of affirmation. But now I forgive you for not giving me those things. I forgive you, Dad. I'm no longer going to hold you hostage and hold myself hostage in that moment. I'm releasing you. I forgive you. And I forgive myself for feeling these ways and the things that they caused me. I forgive myself and I forgive you. And I take back those pieces that you took from me, because I am worthy, because I am lovable, because I am loving, because I am smart, because I am beautiful. I am those things because God told me that I am. Because in that way that you couldn't love me, Dad, God, my real Father in heaven that created all of us, loves me. And God loves you. For anybody that's watching, and God loves you. He is your Father. He can fill you up and make you feel all those things that were neglected within you, whatever that could be for you, whether it's physical touch, whether it's words of affirmation that you didn't get from your parents, that they didn't tell you, good job today, oh my God, you're so smart, you're beautiful, you're wonderful. If they didn't tell you none of that, if you never got gifts, maybe for Christmas, you wanted this doll or this truck or something that you really wanted, and you 3 years old and you didn't get it. And now you're stuck feeling like I'm not worthy of gifts. I'm not worthy to get some things that I want. Or maybe if, the person that you've loved, the people that you loved as a young child didn't spend time with you. Maybe they worked a lot and you didn't have them around. And now you're feeling like I'm not worthy of having people around me that love and care for me. And that has made you just push people away because I'm not worthy of people spending quality time with me. So now you just push everybody away that want to spend quality time with you because you have this subconscious belief that you're not worthy of having the people that love you spend time with you because maybe your parents weren't around and they were at work all the time, or they were hanging out with their friends and they didn't make you a priority. Now you don't feel like you are a priority. Whatever those feelings are for you that you lack, that now you're seeking in people, places, and things that are really messing you up because maybe you're in toxic situations, God can show you and feel the words of affirmation. God can hold you and you can feel his presence, although, it's an energy source. You feel when God's covering you, God will bless you with all the things that you can desire. Okay. God can make it all happen. And God, is always with you. So we always have that quality time because God never goes nowhere. And once we truly believe that and hone into that and forgive others and forgive ourselves and truly, truly immerse ourselves in the love of God and feel his love, our worlds can change. There is nothing that we can't do. We are unstoppable. We're undeniably living our authentic highest self, vibrating in this planet Earth in a vibration that manifests and attracts us everything that we can ever want and need. That's the level that we want to get at, right? We want to have enlightenment. We want to reach this level of peace and joy and love within ourselves, that we radiate this positive energy, that anything that we want for our highest good that's in alignment with our path, we can actually attract. But it starts with understanding where is this stemming from for me? And it's going to be different for all of us. You know, maybe for you, it's you tried something and you failed. Something that you really, really wanted, you failed at it. And now what? You're feeling like, I'm not going to try again. I failed at something that I really wanted. Why am I going to go and try something else? I'm just going to fail because I'm a failure. Because that one fail, now you're a failure. Because you tried something that you really cared about and it didn't happen. And now that's your story. That's your subconscious belief. You know, for me, it was when I dropped out of high school, I failed, right? I didn't complete my high school diploma, dropped out. My mom signed me out. There was no going back. That's it. It was done deal. Stories played in my mind that I wasn't good enough to get any degrees. I wasn't smart enough for anything. When I went to go get my master's, right? Because after I failed at getting my degree, I felt God came to me and he gave me this vision of Mentor's Way and everything that I was going to be. So I went back to school to get my degree in human services. And I went and I got my GED, my associates, and my bachelor's. It was very tough for me to do those things, but I was such in a tight-knit relationship with God and what he told me and how I wanted to help others not fall through the cracks like I did, that I was just on this energy that nobody could stop me. You know what I mean? And when I went to go get my master's, I don't know what happened to me, but I totally felt like, girl, who told you that you can get a master's degree? I wanted to quit month one. I did not see myself graduating because it was the hardest thing of my life. Writing papers was not for me. Like writing papers in a way for a master's degree, which is 90% of a master's is writing, 10-page papers, 20-page papers, 30-page papers. I said, this. I was good with my bachelor's and my associates because there were like 3-page papers, 5-page papers, the most. Now I'm being challenged to get a master's degree, which most people don't take it to that level. Who said I can get there? Me, little old high school dropout that 6th grade teacher said you won't amount to anything. Those voices came right back to mess with me. Right back. Like, your girl, who said? You're not smart enough. You're not capable enough to do this. This is only for the elite smart, the real smart people. You're not really smart. You just passed by in your degree with your associates and your bachelor's. These are my real thoughts. And I wanted to give up. I remember getting panic attacks, anxiety attacks, like wanting to give up. Like, oh my God, it was devastating for me. The fear that I had in going to class and doing the next assignment and doing the next homework, everything was like, it felt like I was just being stripped away. Like somebody just took fire to my skin and I was just crisping up. Like I was just slowly dying. It's like, God, this feels like death. Why did you put me to get my master's degree? And then God reminded me, didn't I say that by the time that you were going to be 30 years old, you would have your master's degree by 30? Didn't you even make a promise to your mom before you left New York when you were 24 years old that by 30 you would have your master's degree? I was 28 when I signed up for my master's degree, forgetting that God told me when I was 30 I was going to have it. So by the time I finish my master's degree, I'll be 30. And God told me, I said that you're going to get through this. I said that you're capable. I say that you're smart enough. I am telling you that. So you are going to get through this. And that shifted me. It shifted me. And I was like, okay, if I don't feel like I'm capable enough, then let me get help. That's when I got resourceful. And I hired a tutor to teach me how to gather my ideas and my thoughts and structure them in paper, and how to expand my paper. If I only knew how to write a 5-page paper, how can I double this into 10 and 20? And I hired somebody to help me expand ideas into more pages and more pages, and how to cite things and my grammar and how to, organize my thoughts, because I just be all over the place. Antoine knows, even with the podcast, he helps me structure my thoughts. It's something I still struggle with, but I'm not letting it stop me with the podcast, and I let it stop me with my master's degree. I graduated my master's degree with a 3.9 GPA, almost a 4.0. I graduated with an award for the person that made the most transformation through the course of the master's degree and for their lives. I got a transformation award that I was chosen out of everybody that was in my cohort to speak in front of the graduating class. The person that doubted, that said, God, who said I am not smart enough to get this master's degree? I almost graduated with a 4.0. And for me, that just shows that, one, things from the past are going to come back. They're going to come back. Those fears are going to come back. I don't think they ever really leave in our subconscious mind. But when God tells us something, God doesn't lie, and his word doesn't fail, and he's not going to let us give up if we are truly in him. If we are truly in him, truly believing in him, truly relying on him, leaning on him and not our own selves, he's going to get you through the next step and the next step and the next step. God is like, girl, if you can't do it yourself, then you're going to get a tutor. You're going to get a mentor. You got to figure it out, And I did. But a lot of people stop because I got to get a tutor. I'm not going to get a tutor. That doesn't, I feel like that really makes me dumb. No, it doesn't. You're getting the help that you need to take you to the next level, because God said by 30, you're going to get that degree, because God said by X time for you, that's going to happen for you. Because God said that's for you. God is going to make it happen for you. Do not allow the voices in your head. Do not allow the past traumas, your childhood traumas, failing at something, not trying again, rejection, abandonment. Don't let none of these things keep you prisoner to the things that God wants from you. Mm-hmm. Because all those things are the stories to your life that are going to help someone else find themselves and their path for their own stories. When you get through those things, when you break through those barriers of rejection, of fear, of abandonment, of your traumas, once you break through to that and you accomplish and achieve the things that God has for you, you open up the doors for other people to join in on the glory of God, because it's like, only God got you through that. Because on your own, you would have just stayed stuck in the past. You would have stayed stuck in those abandonment. You would have stayed stuck in those fears. You would have stayed stuck in those traumas. But because you know who God is and who God told you you are, you're like, I am going to do everything I can to break through this. And there's no shortcuts, y'all. There's no, I'm going to bury this under the ground and I'm going to forget that it ever happened. I've tried it and it don't work. All the successful people have tried it that way and it don't work. It comes back to creep up on you and really bring you down when you're in the midst of your journey and your greatness. Take care of them issues now. Take care of those things now. And you'll see that the path that God has laid out for you the path will just be clear as day for you to walk straight through that without without these big barriers that completely shut you down. You're going to have moments of, okay, I'm in this, God. I've gotten through certain things, but I'm scared again. Like it happens to all of us, but you're not going to allow it to completely stop you. You're just going to say, okay, how can I figure this out? How can I pivot? You're going to try your best to shift your perspective. You're going to hire a therapist. You're going to talk to a loved one. You're going to go to church and get a pastor or somebody like to mentor you, like a spiritual leader, right? You're going to figure it out. And that's what I've done. For me, it's been heavy on the therapist. I've been heavy on the therapist for years now to help me uncover my past traumas, my past wounds, my abandonment issues, my feelings of unworthiness. And I must say, I would have never even started the podcast. I would have never started my own business if I didn't feel a sense of worthiness, a sense of I'm capable, a sense of I'm smart enough. So have I gotten through a lot of those junks that I've had in the trunk? I have. I path because I wouldn't be doing the things I'm doing now. However, we need to understand that certain things are going to continue to arise, but God has our back.